What's up? We got Legends of Tomorrow, Season 1, Episode 16, Legendary, the season finale. So, what I gotta say, first off, I'm gonna say I really enjoyed Legends Season 1. I kind of found the Kendra Ray Carter thing kind of a bit boring. Some people found Kendra Carter a bit boring as a character. They could have just stayed up. They could just Kendra, yeah, anyway. Yeah, they were kind of, her relationship with her wanting to be with Ray, but she's destined to be with Carter is just so boring. I didn't like Ray at all in this season. Actually, I didn't like Ray at all in any season because Ray just isn't that likable character. I thought he would be, but he isn't. I do like that Mick joke where they said, why should Ray die? And Ray's like, and Sarah's like, why should you die, Ray? And Mick's like, have you heard him saying? Have you heard him talking? That was kind of funny. That was a funny moment. But I'm just saying, other than that, Ray and Kendra's like, oh, I love Carter. Then Carter dies, and she's like, oh, I love Ray. But then old Kendra's like, oh, you gotta be with Carter, or you're never. If you don't be with Carter, your other relationships are gonna fail. And it's just, but anyway, and Vandal as a villain was, meh. He was an okay villain. He was supported by Rip's former bosses. That was pretty surprising. It was just like, wait a minute, Rip's former bosses are supplying or giving the villain what he wants to destroy the timeline? That was a pretty interesting plan. But anyway, let's get on to this review. So this episode starts off with the crew laying in 2016, which is when this show aired, and Rip's like, yeah, we're all done. And he's like, what about Kendra and Carter? And he's like, well, it's Savage. And he's like, yeah, we'll find Savage. You guys go on to your normal lives. So then we see Sarah, and she goes down to the aerocade to find Quentin there. And she's like, hey, where's everybody? Laurel's not at her apartment. And he's like, yeah, Sarah, there's something you should know. Laurel's dead. And he doesn't actually say it. He just explains that there was Damien Dark's been bad. Damien Dark's been creating a lot of problems. And she's like, yeah, what's new? And he's like, and there was a breakout, and Laurel went there, and she ended up being killed. And Sarah's just saying, no. He's like, I'm sorry. And yeah, so then we see Mick's got a new partner who he's trying to make the new Captain Cold, but that guy doesn't work out, so Mick just blazes him on fire. But then Ray turns up, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry for Snart, but maybe this is what Snart wanted, for you and me to team up. So then we see Martin, and he's talking with Clarissa, and yeah. So, about going on a sabbatical. Yeah, but then he and Jack's team hang out, and they find Rip, and Sarah's pretty mad. She's pretty mad, because now she knows that Laurel's dead. She's pretty mad, and it's at the exact same time, but yeah. So he's like, hey, welcome back. And Sarah's like, you knew. And he's like, knew what? And she's like, you knew when you dropped this hero 5 months ago, because it's May in 2016 at the point of this episode, when they were created in January. He's like, you knew, and you knew that Laurel was gonna die. And he's like, now you're gonna help me bring her back. He's like, Sarah, I'm sorry I can't do that. And she's like, I don't care about the timeline. You are going to bring her back. And then he just blasts her saying, Rory, get Sarah to sleep it off. Yeah. Obviously, the show can't do that. No, we want Sarah to come back to life. We want Sarah back. The show is not going to give that to us. Because it's the writers. They're not going to give us what we want. Even if Sarah does say it. And Sarah wakes up and she's like, Rip, please do that. Please give me back Laurel. And he's like, Sarah, if I hadn't took you out of the timeline, if I hadn't changed the timeline take you, you along with Laurel wouldn't be the only one who's dead. It'd be you and Quentin. She's like, I don't care. And he's like, I'm sorry, Sarah. So, yeah, but you can help us stop Vandal Savage. So then we see Kendra, and she's running through 1944. And so she runs into an army war guy, and she's like, please help him. And he's like, what, from Nazi? and he's like no, and he runs, and yeah. So then Vandal Savage kills him, I think, and she takes his helmet, and they're like, where did this helmet get here? Yeah, and he's like, this is from Kendra. This is from Kendra. So yeah, so then Kendra's like, so yeah, so Vandal takes their blood, and he's like, what do you want with our blood? And he's like, when the Thermogarians are the meteorites that crashed down in ancient Egypt, and he's going to use their blood to destroy the Earth, so you can go back in time to 1700 BC and basically become Kendra's love interest instead of Carter. Yeah, so they find Carter, and he's like, that's his name, Carter Hall. And she's like, yeah, that is your name. And he's like, what about Kendra? He's like, why is it Gray? Martin and they attack the base of the NAZYs and eyes. And they totally attack them, but they transfuse, so he tries to do it again, and he's like, 3-time term, and he's like, 3. He's like, Savage wants to create the meter and threw it in the 3 timeline. 1 is 1950, 1 is 1980, and 1 is last year, 2021. Yeah, basically last year is 2021. And so they basically want to have a plan to kill Savage in 3 periods. So they go there. They go there and they attack Savage. They're able to make him mortal. So what happens is Mick burns him alive. Sarah snaps his neck, and Mick burns 1980s Vandal, 1950s Vandal alive. She kills 1980s Vandal. 1970s Vandal, and then they killed in 2020 their Vandal Savage, and yeah. And then Rip throws him into a generator, blowing him up, and yeah. So then they're like, hey, now that Vandal Savage is dead, I need a new crew, a former master, a new crew. Let me think about it. Sarah's like, Laurel's the one who told me to go on the mission, so I'm gonna honor Laurel by continuing to stay on the mission. Martin's first like, no, I'm not gonna stay on the mission, but then Jackson's like, hey, the Wayfarer needs you. The Wayfarer needs you. You can't just be sitting here listing off time cards when you could be doing actual time travel. You could be listing off history cards when you could do actual history. So Kendra and Carter decide to leave because Kendra leaves, everybody. Kendra decides to leave because they're like, now that Vandal Savage is dead, she and Carter need to figure out more about the world, and then she's like, I'm sorry, Ray. And he's like, yeah, you go. And they just fly off. Okay? Then they're like, okay, I guess it's just us. And then a time ship crashes down, and they see a guy, and he's like, you better not get on that ship or you all die. And he's like, exactly. And he's like, who said that? And he's like, you did, Mr. Rory. And he's like, exactly who are you? And he's like, his name is Rex Tyler, and he's from the Justice Society of America. To end off the episode. So Kendra and Carter leaving is Kendra and Carter just left because they wanted to explore more of the world now that the person that was hunting them is now officially dead. They want to explore more of the world. Yeah. That's it. That's their departure. They're just like, oh, we want to explore more of the world. Bye. Ray, I'm sorry, we're divorcing. Basically, that's just what happened. She and Ray were engaged, never got married, but she basically just divorced him. So Ray's now single again. But anyway, this was a good finale. this was a good season 1. I'm excited to get season 2. This was a good season 1. This is a good season 1. But anyway, that was it for this video. And I'll see you next time for more Legend, for when we start Legends of Tomorrow, season 2. Bam, bam, bam,